Hey Mystical Illuminations, my name's Jax, and today we are taking a look at Pluto in the 8th house. The week before last, we were talking about Pluto in the 2nd house and its connection to Taurus. Basically, how does this energy manifest? Well, a lot of times it manifests on an intense quest towards physical security, towards financial security, towards having the things that you need, towards having the physical manifestations of wealth and power. And of course, the things that you find valuable being in some state of possession of them. As well as, of course, you yourself feeling valuable and feeling as though you are worth your weight in gold. Now, with Pluto in the 8th house, which is the opposition point here, we're going to experience a much different story. This is the story of securing emotional security. This is about having psychological security. This is about a recognition of your own power and basically the wealth and power that is contained within you. More than just the way you feel about yourself, the things that you believe are recognizable to others as well, the things that are in you but that other people can see. So with Pluto in the 8th house or Scorpio, which most of us watching this video are going to be Plutos and Scorpios. There's definitely going to be some Pluto Sagittarius. There might be a few Pluto Capricorns, and there's definitely going to be some Pluto Libras, but Pluto Scorpio is going to be the majority of the people watching this video. So Pluto in the 8th house is definitely really important for our generation. With Pluto in the 8th house, we are on a quest for metamorphosis. We're on a quest for evolution. And in this particular case, this is an evolution that is caused where the individual is going to connect with some sort of totem or magic in order to find their own hidden power. So a lot of times it's just said, the occult, astrology, it could be tarot, it could be different, different spiritual practices, the communion with spirit, and the of course the 8th house connection with spirit. So there's a lot of that's going to come up as ways in which you'll find that power. But all in all, Scorpio and the 8th house are very strongly connected to psychoanalysis. When you have Pluto in the 8th house, you're going to have an internal magnifying glass where you view all of these things about yourself that you want to change. And those of you with just general 8th house placements, especially in your personal planets, you're going to experience this as well to varying degrees. But Pluto in the 8th house in particular is really important because it means that there's a soul lesson in this lifetime for you to understand the contents of your characters, the things that you are, the things that you're not, the things that you want to be, and the things that you almost like need to let go of trying to be. So with Pluto in the 8th house, this is not an easy task. This is going to come from metamorphosis, metamorphoses that happen through our relationships. They're going to happen through friendships. They're going to happen through the quests that we go on and the experiences that we have. But all in all, we're going to be exposed when you have Pluto in the 8th house to some really cataclysmic stuff. You're going to see and experience things that directly show you the areas in life in which you are incredibly powerless. And then it's going to show you someone as an example who's incredibly powerful in that way. And then you'll have the opportunity to allow yourself to go through an actual evolution, to step into the evolution rather than trying to resist it, rather than trying to stay somewhere comfortable. And if you remember Pluto in the 7th house, in the way that Pluto in the 7th house used the Libran archetype connected to the 7th house in order to reveal the identity, right? So if you have Pluto 7th house, it's likely it will be relationships that assist you in finding your individuality. You'll naturally find yourself in relationships, and so that it will be you walking away from some of them or saying no to some of your partners that you're going to reveal who you actually are. So keep that in mind as we look at Pluto in the 8th house now, because Pluto in the 8th house is going to reveal Pluto in the 2nd house. It's going to reveal the things that you think you need for financial or physical security. And it's going to reveal the things that you can't have when it comes to security, the types of security that you'll never be able to be in possession of. You'll never be able to guarantee that a relationship that you're in, especially one that is a Pluto 8th house relationship, where the two of you merge your very souls. So, remember in second house, you have sexuality in connection with procreation, and sexuality in the sexual instinct for survival. But in the 8th house, we have sexuality in its next level. We have sexuality in the soul merging and the spiritual connection that you can have with a romantic partner. So when we look at the dichotomy between these two energies and getting caught up in them, Pluto in the 8th house is a place of extreme psychological intensity. The types of relationships that we forge there, especially with someone who is very connected astrologically to our 8th house, this is going to be a relationship that tends to burn incredibly bright. And whether or not it burns out quickly, or whether both people are trying to hold on to it, whether they're trying to make it last forever, this relationship is definitely going to be a catalyst that reveals to you what it is that you think that you need in order to feel powerful, in order to feel wealthy, in order to feel that you're going to survive and that things are going to be okay. And sometimes the relationship is a cataclysmic relationship that is literally just there to catalyze to you and to reveal to you that some of the things you think that you need externally are really just things you have to find internally in yourself. With this psychoanalysis, though, Pluto in the 8th house, puts you in the position to recognize you need to change things, you need to grow in these different ways. And the problem with that is that, the better you are at changing because you saw something that needs to be changed, it can also cause you to find yourself in these obsession loops. I need to change everything. Okay, I fixed this, or I grew in this particular area of life. Well, now I've got to do so much better over here. And to cause yourself almost to be in a perpetual state of forced evolution rather than participating with the natural evolution. And so with Pluto in the 8th house, obsession is totally natural. Getting caught up in other people and their perceptions of how you ought to change is totally natural. It's just really important to ground yourself and to give yourself the sort of counterweight and the counterbalance. Especially if imagine you have a Pluto 2nd house person who's in a relationship with a Pluto 8th house person. They're both going to be learning each other's lesson of opposition at the same time. And this is going to be something that can be incredibly intense. So with Pluto in the 8th house, though, your whole purpose and your whole connection is the development of your own power so that you can recognize, which ways you've thought that you needed to be connected to another person in order to possess it. So just like with the 7th house Pluto and the 1st house Aries, 8th house Pluto is going to reveal the Taurus aspect that is being left out here, the area of self-value that you might feel left out of. But the 8th house Pluto connections are incredibly intense. They are in a way a deeper connection and a deeper bond than you might even say the 7th house is. You might say, the 7th house is the marriage house. The 8th house, in a way, on a deeper level, is more of a marriage house than the 7th house is, in the sense that, you can have two people who don't necessarily love each other that much, who go through the engagement, who get married together, who, get married sort of sanctioned by the state and sanctioned by the country, and including the wedding ring, and it's sort of signed as a contract. There's financial things that are lined up. And then there's two people that could, be a part of a plane crash onto an island, and their connection that they build might be the most passionate one that's ever existed, and they might become essentially married even though it's not sanctioned by the state and there wasn't a proper ceremony and there wasn't wedding rings involved. But the 8th house is where you connect to someone on a soul level, and because of that, not getting lost in another person's soul is such an important thing, and being able to maintain your own existence and to continue to grow in your life your own self-value, rather than allowing the power that is contained within your extreme relationship to be the thing that essentially keeps you running, where you become dependent upon the relationship in order to survive or in order to feel any sense of value at all. It's just very, very clear that you're going to be exposed to so many situations that, will start to almost make you feel as though the only way that you can feel something, or that you can feel something on your own, is by, ending the relationship, which in an eighth house sense can be incredibly, extreme. It can be incredibly cataclysmic, or it can be through, through going in these different methods, of cheating or something that you understand is going to catch up with you in the future, and that you're not going to look back on that situation in a positive way. You're not going to be able to even learn from that situation easily without just being in such a difficult position. And of course, at the same time, being left in that relationship that you wanted to leave, as Pluto 8th house, can be incredibly difficult as well, because then there's this whole question of, was I enough, and should I have done something different, and the illusion that now you need to reconnect it just because you were left in that relationship. So 8th house Pluto is definitely going to be a placement that is always involving some of the most intense, dependent, magical, and passionate relationships that you can possibly experience. And so a lot of times with Pluto 8th house relationships, or in different aspects where your astrology is participating in the other person's 8th house, sometimes it creates the illusion that this person is like the one and only soulmate. And so after that ends, and after that you experience that death and rebirth that's going to come from that, you then question, well, could anyone else possibly fill this void? And of course the answer is yes, but at the same time it doesn't seem that way while it's happening. So Pluto in the 8th house, a very interesting placement. Next week we're going to be talking a little bit about Pluto in the 3rd house, as well as Pluto in Gemini. And this upcoming Monday we're going to have a full audio released where I'm going to talk about Pluto in the 8th house in the progress charts. And for people that like myself, I was born with natal Pluto in the 9th house. I now have progressed Pluto in the 8th house. So it's the experience that we have with progress charts, as well as synastry and composite charts. What happens if you and a partner have Pluto in the 8th house in your composite charts. So thank you guys for tuning in today. I will talk to you all next Thursday. I hope you have an awesome rest of your night.